Tell you, Dagan, we said we're going to spend this hour giving a real fair and balanced look at the big issues that we've been talking about here for weeks as public sector unions take on state governments. The unions have a big rally planned here. Their members are already filing in. And Richard Trumka, who's the president of the AFL-CIO on a national level, is here with us live. And Charles Wowkanech is as well. He heads up the AFL-CIO here in New Jersey. Gentlemen, it's great to have both of you on the show and have a chance to talk about these issues. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us on.
We've talked about it a lot in Wisconsin. We've been covering it in the last couple of weeks. I've heard some of the comments you guys have made. Union busting is the word you've been using. You think this is political, not economic. Is that right?
Well, it isn't economical. The public employees in Wisconsin have already said they would agree to all the cuts proposed by Governor Walker. He said that's not good enough. We want to take away your right to come together to bargain for a middle-class lifestyle.
And I want to talk to both of you guys about that. And let's just concede that point. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, it is a political issue and it's not necessarily an economic one. It does bring up a wider conversation, though, doesn't it, about collective bargaining, particularly for public employees. I mean, is there a place in this America today for public employees to have the right to collectively bargain? How do you make that case in the economic situation we're in and how the world's changed over the years?
Well, it's very simple. Because the teachers in Wisconsin, they bargain for class size. The police officers in Wisconsin, they bargain for cop killer vests to protect them with. They bargain for all kind of things. It's the best thing in a global economy. Those that succeed in a global economy bring their employees in and treat them like an asset to be invested in, not a cost to be cut. If you try to cut them out and say you have no place in this, you can't solve problems.
But everybody has to give in here somewhere, don't they, Charles? I'm sure you would agree with the dealing with Governor Christie here in New Jersey. Everybody's got to give. Shouldn't the unions be willing to give more than they have been so far? Governor Christie hasn't attacked the collective bargaining rights like Governor Walker has in Wisconsin.
No, he has not. And to your point, Colin, what we've said here 2 or 3 weeks ago, our governor said that this is very crucial, the pension issue and the health care issue, and that we need to resolve it. He's trying to resolve it through the legislature. I said to the governor, if it's so important, why don't we sit down right now and negotiate? We're willing to come to the table. We understand that sacrifices have to be made. But why wait till June or July? If it's such a crucial issue, let's sit down today and start working this out.
And let's talk about that. You said everybody should contribute.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. That means Wall Street should contribute. The rich should contribute. Instead of getting more tax breaks, they should be pitching in to help all of us come together and create good jobs so we can build the middle class, not tear it down.
Let's think about it from the point of view of what's happened over the last couple of years, since the fall of 2008, right, when the economy collapsed. It'd be hard for you to name a business in the private sector that hasn't had to give back something. That hasn't, I mean, the theme of it, we've done a lot of reporting on the economy, right? The theme of it has been companies are doing more with less. The unemployment rate shot up to 10%. Everybody has been giving.
I know this is a real refrain of Fox News. But these people have been giving. They contributed to their pension plan. This state didn't. This state pays people with a college education 10% less than the private sector does. They've given more and they're willing to talk about it. But the rich, corporate America, everybody should pitch in, and you won't acknowledge that.
Trying to do it. No, it's not about Fox News. We're trying to deal with it in terms of the facts here.
You think the rich should have to give?
I'm asking you whether everybody should have to give.
I said yes.
Should have to play their part. So you're representing. Now you're not representing Wall Street. We're not here to talk about the Wall Street workers. We're here to talk about the union workers that you represent. Right?
I think that's. I think you've got to give us our opportunity to respond to the meltdown. Okay.
Right.
We are suffering from what a group of people did in New York, and you can't just sweep that away. They intentionally lended money to people that they know couldn't pay it back. They intentionally misreported earnings of companies. They brought the system down. Now, wait a minute. Then the government came to the workers that you say didn't contribute. The government came to work saying, now we're going to tax you. We're going to increase the tax on your children and your grandchildren so we can bail these guys out that should have went to jail.
What are your options when you're dealing with an economic reality like that? You could go back in time and say, you know what, I wish that never happened. Let's just say you're right? Oh, I wish that never happened. You know, we're going to go back in time to before 2008, and we're going to change the world, or we can deal with the realities today.
But don't pretend it didn't happen.
No, I'm not pretending it didn't happen.
Because middle-class citizens already paid 3 times. They paid with their jobs. 8 million Americans lost jobs. 15 million out of work. They paid with their houses. They're losing their houses, and they're paying taxes for the bailout. They've contributed to the middle class. We're willing to do more. but it has to be through negotiations so that everybody shares equally.
Let me ask you both about collective bargaining, because that's where we started. I just want to come back to that for a second, because over the last couple of weeks, I've heard this quote, you probably have as well, that was used from President Roosevelt, from FDR back in 1937, when he was talking about collective bargaining for public employees. We'll put it up on the screen, and it reads as follows. The process of collective bargaining, as usually understood, cannot be transplanted into the public service. This was President Roosevelt, one of the real champions of the labor movement, saying that for the public workers, you shouldn't have the right to collectively bargain. How do you respond?
You don't want to go to history to talk about the Wall Street collapse, but you want to go back 50 years or 70 years. Look, collective bargaining in Wisconsin has been going on for 80 years. It's been going on in this country. It works. In a global economy, anybody who tries to treat their employees as assets to be cut, costs to be cut, not assets to be invested in, can't succeed. These governors should be sitting down with their employees saying, we have a problem, let's solve it. Let's work together to create jobs. Let's work together to build the middle class. That's what we're all about.
You know, one of the last things that I'll ask you about, and this is the question that we're trying to get to the heart of, because you brought it up, and it's a good point, it's a good question. Is this an economic argument, or is this a political argument? Right out in Wisconsin, the argument has been made, and trust me, we'll put the question a little bit later on. We're talking to Americans for Prosperity. I have a counter rally here today. We're going to put that question to them and say, is this really an economic issue, or are you guys just making a political argument? You're trying to weaken the unions, bust the unions for 2012. At the same time, a lot of people say, boy, that Richard Trumka, he's got a lot of access to this current administration. With quotes of you played the other day saying, I visit the White House a couple of times a week. So how worried are you about that political influence going into the 2012 election?
I think it's a non sequitur. The fact that the administration talks to us has nothing to do with the situation of a governor trying to take away the right of workers to come together to bargain into the middle class. The president talks to a lot of people.
I think what I'm getting at is that the president, in his first response, he did that local television interview out in Wisconsin where he talked about an assault on the unions.
It sounded like union, yeah.
Right. And since then, we haven't heard as much from him. I guess what I'm asking you is, do you think he's still in your corner as he has been?
I think there's no question that he supports workers and our right to come together to bargain into the middle class. He supports that. And taking away the right for people to come together and sit down and solve problems, create jobs, is not going to help build the middle class.
All right, Richard, thank you. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. And I hope you guys think you got a fair shake here in terms of talking about the issues. And Charles, it was great to meet you, and thanks for coming on. We'll keep doing this. We'll keep covering these issues. Thanks a lot. Okay, guys. I just want to go to our one burning question here real quick, because it's the issue that we were talking about there with Richard and with Charles. Is this fight over collective bargaining an economic issue or a political issue? Send us an email, dagan@foxbusiness.com, or go on Facebook and search for us at Dagan and Connell and leave your comment there. All right, we'll continue. Special coverage. The crowd is filing in here from this union protest and a counter-protest from some of the conservative groups that are on hand. We'll keep covering it. We're here for the hour. Fox Business. We'll be right back.